What if the person you trusted to get you home was the one you should have feared most? It was supposed to be an ordinary night, a short ride, a safe route, 11 minutes from door to door. The streetlight flickers above her like a dying candle as she steps out, pulling her jacket tighter around her shoulders. The air is damp, almost too quiet, the kind of quiet that presses against your ears. A passing car hisses over wet asphalt. Then silence again. Her phone buzzes one last time. A text to her brother. On my way. See you soon. Brotherly. Don't go anywhere. It's 9:14 p.m. The Uber pulls up with its soft headlights cutting through the dark like a promise. She glances at the license plate, matches. The driver's name pops up. 5 stars, over 1,000 rides. She hesitates for a second. Not out of fear, just habit. Then the door opens, and the dome light floods the curb in a sickly yellow glow. She climbs in. The door closes, and the world swallows her whole. First, no one is worried. Her brother glances at the clock, finishes the episode they were supposed to watch together. She's late, sure, but traffic happens. Maybe the app glitched. Maybe she stopped for snacks. Maybe her battery died. But 30 minutes pass. Then 60. Calls go unanswered. Messages show as delivered, but never read. By midnight, her mother's pacing. By 1 a.m., her father has already driven the route himself. By 2 a.m., police are notified. They track the ride. The Uber driver insists. She never got in. But how could that be? The timestamp on the app, the phone's signal log, the dashcam, they all say otherwise. She got in. The car moved. The signal slipped out. No arrival. No texts. No screams. Just an open street. And a girl who should have been home by now. Somewhere between point A and point B, she went silent without a sound. And outside her house, her porch light still glows, as if hoping to guide her back. She wasn't the kind of girl who made enemies. She didn't stir drama, didn't chase attention. Her world was small by choice. Her job, her apartment, her older brother who lived just 2 streets over. She liked things simple, predictable, safe. Her name was Arya. And on the day everything changed, she was wearing her favorite gray hoodie, the one she always reached for when the air hinted at rain. That Thursday started like most others. Coffee at 7:15, the same corner shop where the barista didn't need to ask for her order. She sat by the window, head down, scrolling through her playlist, waiting for her ride to work. It wasn't much of a job, just part-time reception at a downtown dental clinic. But Arya liked it. The quiet, the clean space, the way she went silent behind a desk and not be bothered. She'd recently started saving. Her brother, Caleb, had been helping her plan a trip. Just the 2 of them. Colorado, maybe, someplace cold. That morning, she'd sent him a meme with a caption. This will be us. Get ready to suffer. It was 2 people clumsily hiking up a hill, arguing and laughing. He replied with a thumbs up and a voice note teasing her about buying actual hiking boots for once. She'd never needed them before. She rarely strayed off the sidewalk. Her apartment was neat, not spotless, just lived in. A mug in the sink, a folded blanket on the couch, a lamp she never turned off completely, even when she slept. She told Caleb once that it made the room feel less empty, less like a box, more like a home. She wasn't scared of the dark, she said. She just preferred the light. And yet, that evening something felt different. Not loud, not obvious, just slightly off. Around 6:30 p.m., she texted Caleb. Long day. Mind if I come hang for a bit? He said yes, of course. She always came by when her anxiety kicked up. Not dramatic, just a hum in the background she couldn't silence. She left work early, took her time walking to the main road. She even stopped to grab 2 bottles of that soda only Caleb liked, the one that tasted like cherry cough syrup, a small peace offering. She always joked that she was the annoying little sister, even though she was only younger by a year. The sky was starting to bruise, painted in dark blue streaks when she pinged the ride. An 11-minute trip. She could have walked, but she didn't want to, not in those shoes. Not with that restless feeling crawling just beneath her skin. She stood beneath a flickering street lamp, the light above her stuttering like it couldn't decide if it wanted to keep her seen. She didn't notice the flicker. She was typing. On my way. See you soon. Brotherly. Don't go anywhere. She had no idea those words would echo louder than anything she'd ever said. And Caleb, he'd replay them 100 times, wishing he'd called instead. It was 9:14 p.m. when the ride request went through. A gray sedan. Clean record. Verified. 5 stars. The kind of rating you don't even think twice about. The kind of detail people scroll past until it's too late. The driver's name? James. No red flags. Over 1,000 trips. Nothing to suggest he was anything but ordinary. Arya had ridden with strangers before. That night wasn't her first time, and it wouldn't have been her last. She stood still for a moment after confirming the car. A pause long enough for doubt to whisper, but not scream. She looked around once. The lot behind her was quiet. The road in front of her was empty. And then headlights. Soft, gold-tinted. Slow. They turned the corner, illuminating her jeans, her sneakers, the plastic bag in her hand holding 2 bottles of cherry soda. The car stopped. She stepped forward. What happened next only lasted a few seconds. But those seconds are burned into timestamp logs, dashcam footage, signal log trails, all the cold tools of a system that could only look backward. She looked down once at her phone. She took one last breath of the night air. Then, the backseat door clicked open. There was no hesitation, no panic, no scream, just the soft thump of the door closing and the hum of the car rolling forward, as if nothing in the world was about to go wrong. Inside the car, it smelled like citrus, faint, like an air freshener that had been there too long. The upholstery was dark, clean, worn in that way where strangers had sat before and always left. She buckled in, glanced at the rearview mirror. He didn't smile. He didn't speak. But that didn't seem strange. Some drivers prefer silence. She preferred it, too. The radio was off. The windows were up. The only sound was the soft creak of the seat as the car eased back into motion. Outside, the rain had started, barely a drizzle, more a whisper than a warning. It danced across the windshield, catching the traffic lights in red and green specks that painted her face for fleeting seconds. 11 minutes. That was all it should have taken. But 6 minutes in, something changed. The route diverted, just slightly. Not enough to trigger the app. Not enough to sound any alarms. But just enough to shift the atmosphere. The car slowed at an intersection it didn't need to. Took a turn that added time instead of saving it. Did she notice? Did her fingers twitch toward her phone? Did she glance at the lock? The handle? The driver's eyes in the mirror? We'll never know. Because no one heard a scream. No one heard a door slam. No one saw her step out. She didn't call. She didn't text. Not to say she was running late. Not to say something felt wrong. Just nothing. Back at Caleb's place, the living room light was still on. 2 glasses were on the table. The cherry sodas she liked were already in the fridge. He checked his phone. Then again. 9 minutes. 10. 11. 12. The map said, ride in progress. But no new notifications. No blue dot moving toward him. Just silence. He typed, "You good?" No reply. And somewhere on that silent road, with nothing but red lights blinking through the drizzle, the ride kept going. But Arya never came home. Is it after the first unread message? The second missed call? Or is it that moment, the one you never forget, when your chest tightens, your hands go still, and your brain begins rehearsing excuses you don't even believe? Caleb waited, first with trust, then with doubt, and then with something colder, something that didn't feel like fear yet, but sat behind his ribs like weight. By 9:28 p.m., he was pacing. Not fast, not dramatic, just enough that the soles of his feet began to warm the floor beneath him. He told himself it was fine. Traffic. Maybe she stopped for gum or ran into someone she knew. By 9:37 p.m., he was standing by the window. The glass felt cold. The street was still. No familiar hoodie. No slow steps. No Arya. He opened the app. The ride still showed as active. 10 minutes. Then 12. 13. No arrival. He refreshed again. Still in progress. Still no motion on the little blue dot. He didn't want to overreact. Didn't want to be that brother who blew up her phone just because she was running a little late. But Arya wasn't like that. She always checked in. Even for little things. Even when she didn't need to. Especially with him. So when she didn't reply to "you good," he waited 2 more minutes and then typed again. "You close." Nothing. Then he called. Once. No answer. Twice. Straight to voicemail. That's when the dread bloomed. He grabbed his keys. Didn't even throw on a jacket, just bolted out the door, heart hammering a second too fast. Like it was trying to tell him something his brain hadn't caught up to yet. The night air hit him, sharp and damp. That faint smell of smoke from a neighbor's chimney. His headlights cutting through mist that hadn't been there 20 minutes ago. He started driving, retracing the route she would have taken. Every turn, every stoplight, every corner where a car could have pulled over. He looked down alleys, checked parking lots, even slowed when he saw a gray car at a gas station, but it wasn't the right one. He called again. Nothing. Again. Voicemail. Her silence was no longer quiet. It was screaming. This wasn't some dramatic instinct. This was Caleb knowing her. This was a boy who used to wait for her outside class when she forgot her umbrella, who memorized her anxious tics, who noticed when her replies felt off. And tonight, everything felt off. He pulled over and stared at the tracking app. Still active. Still no update. He stared so long his screen dimmed. He whispered, more to himself than the phone. "Come on, Arya. Pick up." But it rang, and he'd never hated the sound of a ringtone so much. That ride was only supposed to take 11 minutes. It's now been 43, and the brother who always knew how to find her was starting to realize he might not know where to begin. People lie. They forget. They twist timelines. They say what makes them sound safe. But cameras don't. They just record. They just watch. And sometimes, they catch the exact second when something stops being ordinary and becomes terrifying. The first footage reviewed was from the apartment building. A single camera, mounted near the mailboxes, facing the lot. Low resolution, slight fisheye lens, but clear enough to see her. 9:12 p.m. Arya steps into frame. Gray hoodie, plastic bag in her left hand. She doesn't look afraid. She doesn't look rushed. Just tired. Calm. She checks her phone, glances at it twice. Then, slowly, lifts her head and looks down the road. A car turns the corner. Headlights catch her eyes. She shifts her weight from one foot to the other. A habit Caleb always teased her for. Her hand tightens slightly around the soda bag. Then she steps forward. The car slows. Stops directly in front of her. A clean gray sedan. Matching license plate. She doesn't speak to the driver. She doesn't lean in. She just opens the door and went silent inside. The car rolls away, smooth and slow. 9:13 p.m. That's the last time she was seen on her street. When the police reached James, the Uber driver, he was calm. Too calm. He said she never showed up. Said he waited a few minutes, then canceled. Said he didn't even see her. They asked if he was sure. He nodded, but he didn't know about the footage yet. They showed him the video. His car. Her steps. The door. Her silhouette slipping into the back seat. He blinked. Swallowed. Then said he didn't remember it that way. His dashcam was still in place. Black. Glossy. Almost hidden. He said it hadn't worked for months. Said it was just for show. But it was recording. And what it captured changed everything. 9:14 p.m. The footage starts. The back seat door opens. She slides in. No words exchanged. No greeting. She fastens her seatbelt. The driver checks the rearview mirror, then puts the car in drive. At first, the route is perfect. 2 blocks forward. A right turn. Arya stares out the window, barely blinking. Then something shifts. 9:17 p.m. He takes a wrong turn. Not major. Just unnecessary. He doesn't mention it. She doesn't ask. She just glances at her phone. Briefly. Then turns it face down on her lap. The air feels heavy, even in the recording. The silence is unnatural. like neither of them belongs in that space. Then the screen glitches. Just once. A flicker of static. And at 9:21 p.m., the footage ends. No warning. No shutdown. Just black. It took another 2 hours to find it. A traffic camera at the corner of Milton and Gray. Old city tech. Slight delay. But at 9:19 p.m., it caught a single car turning east. The same gray sedan. Lena's last known direction. No other cars nearby. No pedestrians. No noise. Just the soft gleam of headlights cutting across wet pavement. The drizzle misting the lens like the night itself was trying to blur what it saw. There's something disturbing about watching footage like this. You know what's coming, but the people inside the frame don't. She sits still. Doesn't flinch. Doesn't fight. Just trusts. The driver keeps his eyes forward. Hands steady. No sign of nerves. It's what makes it worse. The calm before something irreversible. The footage couldn't show what happened next, but it showed enough. She got in that car, and the moment the door closed, so did every door leading back to her. At first, the story made sense. Until it didn't. Until the hours stopped lining up. Until the mileage didn't match. Until the man who claimed to forget started remembering too much. Because stories don't fall apart all at once. They crack, slowly. And when they do, they make a sound you can't unhear. When James sat across from the detective, he didn't seem nervous. Not at first. He folded his hands, kept his eyes low, answered every question with a shrug and a quiet voice. Like this was just another shift gone wrong. She never showed, he repeated. He was shown the footage. He blinked, leaned in, then said, maybe that was someone else. Even though it wasn't. He was told about the signal log trail, his phone pinging in the same direction her phone last registered. He shrugged again. Could have been a glitch. But glitches don't explain gas receipts. Or the timestamp toll camera he didn't know about. The one that caught his car headed 30 minutes west of where she should have been dropped off. He didn't have an answer for that. Didn't have one for the text Arya sent her brother either. The one that said, on my way. See you soon. Brotherly. Don't go anywhere. Because if she never got in, how did she know the car was already there? He began to sweat. Not much, just a thin sheen across his forehead. He asked for water. Didn't drink it. His legs started bouncing. His voice dipped. The officer leaned in and asked, did something happen in that car, James? He didn't respond. Just looked away, at the corner of the room like something was waiting there. They pulled up the ride history. Something didn't sit right. The trip had ended early, auto-canceled, he claimed. But the data showed the engine running for another 27 minutes. Parked. Still. Off the map. They asked him why. He said he got lost. That he pulled over to check directions. But when asked where, he couldn't name the street. He said, I think it was near a school. But the signal log showed he was behind an abandoned textile mill. No lights. No traffic. No reason to be there. And yet, that's where the trail stopped. In the dashcam footage, there's one moment that doesn't make sense. Not to the detectives. Not to Caleb. At 9:18 p.m., the car slows. Not at a stop sign. Not for traffic. Arya glances at her phone again, then looks forward. The driver's left hand drops, out of frame, for nearly 4 seconds. No sound. No music. No indication of what he's doing. Then, the car turns, sharply. The footage cuts soon after. Caleb watched it on repeat. He sat in that same room, hours later, pressing pause at the same second every time, trying to read her face, trying to see if her eyes changed. If she knew, right then, that something wasn't right. But she looked calm, tired, trusting, and that, somehow, made it worse. The next day, James changed his statement. He now claimed she might have gotten in. He said maybe he forgot to end the ride. Said she asked to be dropped off early. When asked where, he said, a gas station, but couldn't name which one. He said she was fine when she got out. Smiling. They checked the footage. No such stop existed. They checked every gas station within a 10-mile radius. No record. No sighting. No Arya. His story had too many cracks. And beneath each one was a silence no one could fill. because the closer they got to the truth, the more it felt like it had been erased. Minute by minute, mile by mile, every story reaches a point where pretending doesn't work anymore. When the silence becomes too loud, when the evidence begins to speak, and when even the person responsible starts cracking under the weight of what they buried. Because you can rehearse a lie 1,000 times, but you can only live with it for so long. It was the fourth interview. James had been in and out of that station for days, always with the same face, calm, vague, slightly distant. But this time, something gave. He was shown the full timeline again. The ride ping, the footage from Lena's building, the toll camera, the gas station lie, the abandoned lot. He said nothing. He asked to go home. But before he left, he said something strange. I never meant for it to go that far. The room froze. They asked, go where? He just stood, said, I'm tired, and walked out. 2 days later, a call came in. Not from a witness, not from the public, from a property manager. Old textile building, long shut down. Someone reported a stench. Said animals had been circling the back lot. Said it was ruining the air. Police arrived quietly. They didn't alert the media, didn't make a scene. Inside, it was dark, damp, windows smeared with dust, crates still stacked like time had stopped mid-shift. And in the far corner, behind a collapsed rack of rusted wheels, they found a shape covered in a tarp. Underneath it, a girl in a gray hoodie, one shoe missing, phone still in her pocket. She was curled like she had folded in on herself, like her last act had been to become small, as if that could stop what was coming. They didn't let Caleb see her, not at first. He was told it wasn't the right moment. But he came anyway. He stood at the edge of the lot, fists shaking, eyes locked on that building like it had stolen something sacred. He had brought the sodas she bought that night, the bag still unopened. He left them at the door, said nothing, not one word. He was arrested 2 days later. Not because he confessed. He never did. But his DNA was found on the hoodie. Arya's blood, faint, but there was in the trunk lining. And his car's signal log had gone offline for precisely 37 minutes. Right outside that mill. The timeline, the footage, the lies, it all closed in. Still, he offered no motive, no emotion. When asked why, he said, she trusted me, and I panicked. And that was all. There was no trial that gave closure. No explanation that made sense. James took a plea. Arya's name was never mentioned in his statement. But her story was never really about him. It was about how fast trust can be broken, how quickly the world can change in a single turn, and how someone so careful, so kind, so close to home, could left no trace into silence without ever shouting for help. Because monsters don't always wear masks. Sometimes they drive clean cars, with 5 stars, and polite smiles. The last message Arya ever sent was just 5 words. On my way. See you soon. Brotherly, don't go anywhere. Now, Caleb keeps that text pinned at the top of his screen. He never deletes it, never replies. He just opens it sometimes, and stares at the message that never made it home. If stories like this matter to you, if you believe some truths deserve to be told in full, no matter how dark, subscribe to the Veil of Secret, because not every voice gets to speak for itself. But here, we make sure they're never forgotten.